Okay, briefly. Uh, yeah, it's funded by Irish Aid. It's a project with mainly two components. The first component is at the regional level, and it's based in the principle that maybe the best way to learn is to learn with the good and the bad things that other countries in the region that face the same kind of challenges, that found solutions that might actually work also in other countries. And the philosophy behind is about sharing experiences and trying by this way to lead to advancements in the region. And this is one part. It's also about capitalization of the good things that are done in the region, trying to promote a change between countries, even the use of experts. Then a second component, because we thought that we could not only focus in the regional component, also you need to have a more in-depth presence at the country level, is that we are providing technical assistance to 3 countries in Malawi, Mozambique and Zambia in their own efforts to develop social protection floors. Yes, I mean it's being a methodology that is based in one side in an assessment, as the name says, as looking at diagnosis of the system. I think it's always relevant to start with the diagnosis of the system, and then it's another important component is the participatory one and the dialogue, because in terms of policy, it's not only important the technical aspect of the policy, but it's really important that there is a buying in of different stakeholders. And in the case of social protection, maybe even more important, because it has to translate also the values of the society. Then a methodology like this allows you also to bring together to the same table a different set of actors, national actors, but also other donors or bilateral partners and other UN agencies, World Bank, and it's a tool that has been quite useful in different ways in different countries. Yes, I think, yeah, we did. We have been part of the production of the global guide. We have been, because particularly I think ABND, it's not like a set of tools that you can implement a full package and the same way in different contexts and countries. I think it's about yourself. It provides some main guidelines, but then you need to find different solutions according to the needs, according to the opportunities you have in the countries. And I think the fact that we have been implementing in the region, in these countries, this methodology will also inform the development of the guide, and we hope maybe can also allow then other countries, maybe in the region, to use a methodology that is more similar to the one that they need. And I think there are concrete examples. In Malawi, for instance, we had exercises that were completely different from Mozambique, many times because you also use like local facilitators, and themselves, they bring a new flavor to the process. Or in some processes, in some places you have a better relation with the IMF, and then this adds a new component to the global. And I think globally you can always learn with the examples from the other countries. And my view is that yes, we have been contributing to the development of the guide. Yes, because this was started as an ILO methodology, but I think the principles that I mentioned earlier, they are relevant for different actors, and I think even maybe in the first stage they might ask what is a BND, but then when they really understand how it is, and they can even be driven by other actors. I think for the moment we see already UNICEF, for instance, using part of our methodology in Zambia, for instance, and I think that's quite useful, because in the end we have all the same goal, and I think if they can find a tool that can help also their work, I think they will for sure adapt it and adopt it. Maybe to start there is an issue of capacity. Being both in the fiscal level, you have, of course, if you look at the GDP level, and if you look at the fiscal basis, and looking also that you are talking about economies that are most in the informal economy, not only the workers, but also part of the economic activity, then also the production, the level of the tax level is quite low, but also I think there is still an issue of political will. There is still a challenge in terms of understanding the advantage of social protection. You have still a concept that is still seeing sometimes social protection and as an handout, a lot of misconceptions about what could be the effect of, for instance, providing cash transfer that will lead for laziness, or for instance, if you talk about a child grant for more fertility, there is a lot of evidence that's been produced recently showing that this is not the case, but it takes time to change mindsets, and I think this is a big challenge, is how you change mindsets, more even than the fiscal space, because from the moment you can deal with these issues, then with mindset and then creating the political will, I think the fiscal space can come together with this. Then I think this is one challenge. Then you have an operational challenge, because the institutions are still weak, and they are not also, they have not been implementing interventions at a larger scale. Then it's also a challenge. How do you start and move from pilots that were the case in many countries to big scale programs? This has implications in terms of management and information systems, of paying modalities, also because you are talking about many times communities that are spread along very big geographical areas where it's not easy to reach. The equipment that is needed is also expensive. Then capacity, local level, staffing. There are, I could not, I mean, if I would enumerate all the challenges, I could stay here for a long time, but I think there are also a lot of opportunities, and I think we need to focus and to think that this is not a short-term investment that you're going to get a concrete result in 1 or 2 years, but this is, you are helping building a society to a model of society, and then I think with some time and putting the actors together, I think it's quite important for the region, and I believe it's something that is starting to grow. I mean, for instance, the issue of the mindset is we have been, for instance, in Zambia discussing, but also in Mozambique, about, for instance, bringing the university to the process. I mean, like I said, it's a dialogue process. They don't tell you you need to do you can, for instance, add sessions just with the university, like we did in Mozambique, just with professors and students, and it was part of the process. And you can, like in Zambia, we are doing with parliamentarians now. I mean, if you do more dialogue, it's one way of dealing with these misconceptions, but you can also use other communication tools. You can bring, like we are doing the movies, we are even working in cartoons. I mean, you need to use all the tools that you have available. I think you need to have will to have dialogue. That's the first thing. They need really to believe that it's worth to, and it's not always easy. There's not always this culture of, and I see this changing. I think this is improving, but there is a little bit, sometimes there are some fears on opening the discussion, fears of being criticized, and also maybe from the outside, sometimes there is also already a misconception or a preconception that, oh, it's government, then it's something that we are criticizing, and maybe it's hard to bring everyone to the table, but to produce something constructive. Then I think it's sometimes to deal with these fears. That's what you need to focus, and then to bring. But if you bring the players to the table in a open space where there is space for critics, where there is space to construct, to build something together, I think it's very powerful too.